On June 25, 1975, India plunged into darkness. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi declared a state of emergency. This was a dark chapter in Indian history. It marked a period of authoritarian rule. Democracy was suspended. The emergency lasted for 21 months. It was a time of fear, censorship, and oppression. Basic rights were snatched away. The press was muzzled. Political opponents were jailed. The emergency is a stark reminder of the fragility of democracy. It is a cautionary tale of how power can be abused. Even in a vibrant democracy like India, freedom cannot be taken for granted. The date, June 25, 1975, is etched in the memory of every Indian. It serves as a reminder of the importance of safeguarding democratic values. We must always be vigilant against any threat to our freedoms. The years leading up to the emergency were turbulent. India faced numerous challenges. There was economic stagnation, unemployment was high, prices were rising, people were frustrated, political unrest was growing. There were protests and strikes across the country. Opposition parties were gaining strength. They challenged Indira Gandhi's authority. Indira Gandhi felt threatened. She saw the unrest as a challenge to her power. She believed that strong measures were needed to restore order. She decided to crack down on dissent. The stage was set for a confrontation. Indira Gandhi's decision to declare emergency was a turning point. It would have far-reaching consequences for India. The Allahabad High Court verdict was a major setback for Indira Gandhi. The court found her guilty of electoral malpractice. This verdict shook the nation. It raised questions about her legitimacy. The court ordered her to vacate her seat in parliament. Opposition parties demanded her resignation. They called for fresh elections. Indira Gandhi faced immense pressure. She appealed the verdict to the Supreme Court. However, the court upheld the Allahabad High Court's decision. This was a blow to her authority. She was now in a precarious position. Indira Gandhi felt cornered. She saw the court's verdict as a conspiracy. She believed that her opponents were trying to oust her from power. She decided to take drastic measures. Section 4. The emergency is declared a nation in chains. On the night of June 25, 1975, Indira Gandhi declared a state of emergency. This was like a turning point in Indian history. Democracy was suspended. Fundamental rights were curtailed. The government used the emergency to silence its critics. Opposition leaders were arrested. Thousands of people were detained without trial. The press was censored. The emergency had a chilling effect on Indian society. People were afraid to speak out against the government. Fear and paranoia were widespread. The country was in the grip of authoritarian rule. The emergency was a dark chapter in Indian history. It showed how easily democracy could be subverted. It is a reminder of the importance of safeguarding our freedoms. Section 5. Life under the emergency, fear, censorship, and sterilization. Life under the emergency was marked by fear and repression. The government imposed strict censorship. Newspapers and magazines were prohibited from publishing anything critical of the government. Radio and television were controlled by the state. The government used its powers to suppress dissent. People were arrested for expressing their views. Protests were banned. The police were given sweeping powers to arrest and detain people without trial. One of the most controversial policies of the emergency was forced sterilization. The government launched a massive campaign to control population growth. Millions of people, mostly poor and from marginalized communities, were forcibly sterilized. The emergency had a devastating impact on Indian society. It created an atmosphere of fear and suspicion. It eroded democratic values. It left a lasting scar on the Indian psyche. Section 6. The emergency lifted a return to democracy. In 1977, Indira Gandhi made the unexpected decision to lift the emergency. She called for fresh elections. This was a gamble. She was unsure of the outcome. She had been in power for 11 years. The 1977 general elections were a watershed moment in Indian history. For the first time since independence, the Congress Party was defeated. The Janata Party, a coalition of opposition parties, came to power. The people of India had voted for democracy. They had rejected authoritarianism. The 1977 elections were a victory for the Indian people. They showed the strength and resilience of Indian democracy. However, the legacy of the emergency continued to haunt India. It had exposed the fragility of Indian democracy. It had shown how easily power could be abused. Section 7, The Legacy of the Emergency, a Cautionary Tale. The Indian emergency was a dark chapter in the country's history. It was a time of political repression, censorship, and human rights violations. The emergency had a profound impact on Indian democracy. The emergency serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us of the importance of safeguarding democratic values. It highlights the dangers of authoritarianism. It underscores the need for a vigilant citizenry. The legacy of the emergency continues to shape India today. It has led to a greater awareness of civil liberties. It has strengthened the institutions of democracy. It has made India more resilient in the face of challenges. The Indian emergency is a reminder that democracy is a precious gift. It is a gift that must be cherished and protected. We must never forget the lessons of the emergency.